Hey, Cannonball Nation! It is January 9th, 2025, and we were supposed to have a blizzard today. Well, the joke is on us. My event was canceled that I'm supposed to fly out tomorrow. Melissa closed the office today, and it is a 38 degrees outside and a slight drizzle here. So the joke was on us, thanks to the weatherman. But I know some of y'all are probably getting lots of weather. So prayers you stay warm and stay safe. And Kate over in Florida will be able to see her Floridian snowman in a couple of days. I'm excited about that. You better be wearing a surfboard. Today I have something super fun we're going to do together as a team, and then you all will get to take it home and do it for yourselves too. But before we get started on that, Mark had a question.
Yeah, so I've got I have a client who's turning 65 in May. Um, she's always been on Medicare Advantage plan, but she got a GI letter because her plan was being discontinued. And uh, she's asking the question, well, why didn't we just do the GI into the Med Sup? Why are we waiting until May? Right? Even though she didn't find the letter until after we were outside of, she didn't tell me, right? I went through all the GI disclosures and everything, and she, anyway, so now she's wanting to maybe do the Med Sup early, and I would prefer it to be underwritten.
Her premium, Mark, is going to kill her on a med sup under 65.
Under
Once she
65.
turns 65, she'll have another guaranteed issue for the med sup.
Right,
But if she
right.
gets a
And
med
that's,
sup
we've already
before,
done the app for that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. That's what I'll tell her.
Yeah, so in general, whether she's over or under, right? In general, a GI med sup's always going to be more expensive than an underwritten or a T65. So if you're trying to convince her and you know she'll get through the underwriting, if you're trying to convince her to go that route, be like, well, I'm doing it this way to save you money. So if you don't want to save money, then we can do it the other way.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Well,
And then also
good.
shout out to Kate. I just want to give as much possible love as I can on this call to Kate, because she walked me through and helped me with a really difficult situation earlier this week. She's the best.
Kate's
Even though
pretty
she's
awesome.
even though she's hiding
We can
everything
see
under her
her over
nose.
there.
Thanks,
Kate
Mark.
may have found a new office location that sounds like it may be better than what she had. So I'm super excited for her for that.
Yeah.
Be good.
Okay, guys. So today we're gonna do Bingoals. My bingo goals, Bingoals. And I have a screen that I'm gonna share with y'all. Now, this first one, I had an idea because I personally am a team player. I really like doing stuff as a team. And I thought we could build a goal sheet out for Cannonball Nation as a whole. And then you all could print your own. I already have it up in school. It's under sales and mindset. So you can print your own. So you can build out one for yourselves. And then I would love to see them shared in school once you have it built out so we can all see each other's goals and help keep each other accountable. But for us to do it today, just so we understand honestly how it works and we can talk about our goals and things like that, I thought it'd be fun to do one for our group as a whole. Now, the fun twist I'm going to put on this, if every time we make a bingo, right, any kind of bingo, I'm going to have a team prize for everybody that was on today. And then if we hit a blackout, I'm going to do something super special because that means we hit our team goal, and that is awesome. So I will make a list of who's on today's call because you guys will be the ones that'll get to participate in the wins and the special prizes because you're on the call helping us build it out. And then for anybody who does it on their own, I would love for you to share it so we can see what your goals are for 2025. And then I highly suggest every time you bingo, you give yourself a prize, whether it's a spa day, a special upgrade at Rangers baseball game, whatever it is that you love to do for yourself. Anytime you do a bingo, give yourself that amazing little prize or big prize if it's a blackout, to give yourself something to look forward to throughout the year. If you've been with me for a minute, you know, I get asked all the time, how do I stay motivated? How do I avoid burnout? And not that it doesn't happen, but the biggest key for me to avoid it is to have something I'm looking forward to that requires a certain amount of work to get myself to a certain place in my life to be able to have that experience or get that thing. So last year or last couple of years, everybody knew I was been shopping for a new house and I got that accomplished. And then the next thing was I really wanted to take my family up into Montana and Wyoming and do a full summer trip and not like a weekend or a week. Like I wanted to be gone. And we checked out for an entire month. And, you know, I worked from the road because all y'all were with me in that. But that was one of our goals, right? So in 2025, our big trip this year is Hawaii. I've never been. My husband has. He's been with the military, not like on vacation, but he has seen pieces of it. And he, for the non-beach goer that he is, he actually liked Hawaii. So I'm super excited. And we are going, not just going to Hawaii, but we're going to Hawaii for 3 weeks. And we're
Awesome.
going to hop every island. We're staying 3 or 4 days or 5 or whatever, however it works out, on every island in Hawaii. So we're going to see them all. And some of the reason I do that is because one, it's a really long flight and my body, it's hard on me. So I want to have the time to really see it. But then I want to see the world. That's always been a goal of mine. I know Kate's a huge traveler, actually both of y'all, I know, but Kate Spills very specifically, you know, she wants to live in Portugal with her family. And I think, or Spain, sorry, Spain. And I think those are amazing goals, right? And I think it's something we all should aspire to because it's part of the reason why we get into this kind of business to begin with. We become self employed to have the bigger vision, to have the bigger life, to have the wants that we can fulfill for our families. And I think most of us have learned, and for the newer agents, they can learn from us that have been in this business for a while. In this business, it's 100% doable. We just have to stay focused and keep doing one day at a time. And one day you're going to look up and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, look at what I've created. And now I can buy that new house. I can take that month-long vacation. I can go to Spain, you know, whatever it is. I can semi-retire at 45 years old because we got some young ones in here too these days, right? So whatever that goal is, it's part of what really keeps me driven. So even when I have a day or two where I'm just like, oh, like I just don't wanna, it only lasts a couple of days because then I start thinking of all these things I still want to do with my life or I want out of life or I want to experience. And the only way I'm going to get to do that is if I keep hitting my goals. So for 2025, Cannonball Nation goals, we are going to do it together. I'm going to do a personal one as well over the weekend. I'm even having Cannon do one. He started one. It's somewhere around here. He got 10 of the boxes filled out so far. So if you got kids, I know Kate, you do. I feel like I'm picking on you, but I can see your face. I know you got kids and young ones. You know, wouldn't it be fun to make a family one? What do you guys want to do accomplish this year as a family, right? And so don't just, for now, we're going to think about our business. But when you're looking at this for you and your life, think about your life, think about your family, think about your wants and how your business is going to get you there. So for 2025, the way we're going to do this, so when you're doing it personally, the middle square, which is normally the free square, and you guys can see the screen. I don't know why I keep holding up the paper. I think I'm the only one that can see that when I hold it up. So this free square in the middle, when you're doing it personally, we're going to put your birthday in there. I want it to be your birthday. Your birthday should be a free day. It should be a fantastic, fun day. And you should be planning something around your birthday. So for the free square, the middle square, you're going to put your birthday. And if you notice, a bingo board is 5 by 5. 5 squares by 5 squares, and you time 5 by 5, it's 25. So you got a bingo board in 2025 because it's 25 squares. So for the office, I am going to put our inception day, which is August 3rd, 2016 for our Cannonball Nation board. That's when the LLC for Cannonball was officially formed. Now, it was not when we opened the doors, that was still some time later, but the official LLC was formed on that day. So that's the day I'm going to use for this free square. Oops. Now, as a whole, and we're going to do this together, I want to hear things from you that you would love to see Cannonball Nation accomplish this year to help you grow your business. So what can Cannonball do for you? And some of the things, so like some of the things on my to-do list is school, like implement it and get it completed. Well, it'll never be fully completed because it'll always be a work in process because we'll be constantly putting stuff in there, but I've implemented it. So if I hadn't gotten that done yet, that might have been on the board, right? A new classroom. Our classroom's great. It's worked for forever. We got tons of trainings in there, but as it's gotten so big, it's hard to find stuff now, right? When you, and like the old stuff is mixed with the new stuff. So I think the new classroom will help you in the future, especially for those of you that are recruiting. So I know Tom wants to recruit, so that would be a perfect square. And specifically, and the only reason I know this because me and Tom were on a call, dang it, this morning. So I'm going to add a square for Tom, but Tom, you want to recruit. How many agents? What's the goal?
15.
15 new agents.
How many do you have right now, Tom? I'm just curious.
Well, we have 51, but we have 33 that actually write. So the goal is 15 active agents that are going to be producing. So I've got a bunch of agents that are agents that think the sky's going to open up and money's going to fall and life's wonderful just because they have a license and they, you know, we talk, well, how much I have a training class every Monday morning. And so they're on there and I say, okay, so what have you done Tuesday? Well, I thought about what you said on Monday. Okay. Wednesday, what'd you do? Well, I made 2 calls Wednesday. And then Thursday, something comes up. And then Friday, they wake up and I go, this is why you're not making any money. You're not going to make 50, 60, $100,000 a year working 3 hours a week in the beginning. You've got to. A lot of people look at Sandy and I and they want what we have. And they don't see that I work from 11 at night to 3 in the morning because during the day I'm helping agents do what they need to do. And that's the one thing I tell agents is when you open up an agency, your production goes down. And that's where I'm fortunate that I've got Sandra because Sandra's my number 1 agent. So she's out being an agent and I can run the business. So that's why we're a good team on here. But we really want to, I'm going to pull out of doing a couple of senior centers. I've got an agent coming on Monday. He's going to take the test. I'm going to give him one of the senior centers, but take a lot of my time. And I'm going to devote myself to mentoring a group as they come aboard. Going out to the field, holding their hand, taking them and showing how to own your zone.
So your people are 1099 or are they W-2, the 15 new agents?
No, they're all 1099. Yeah, they're all
Oh.
1099. Yeah. I don't have, when we first started this business, we talked about that and I was persuaded not to do that, not to bring people on. So we didn't. And we've built our business off of doing local area marketing, doing LAM events, doing health fairs, doing doctor's offices, and that's how we've built our build our business. And it's just going out and teaching people how to go out, how to get a doctor's office, how to do health fairs, how to own a senior center, how to do work a turning 55 community. I've also written seminars, so I've got introduction to Social Security and Medicare. We get a ton of business off of that. The Medicare 101s, Medicare Advantage versus supplement, preparing for Medicare. And then the really fun one is Medicare fraud, waste, and abuse. So those are the seminar series that we have. We go in to try to go into churches, go into organizations, say, look, I've got these 5 seminars. We either do them once a month or every other week to try to build the excitement. And what happens is the goal is for the agents to go out and present those seminars. I go out, I do the seminar, and whichever agent set the seminar up, they get all the leads from the seminar. I don't want to call anybody. I don't have time to follow up. I don't have time to call people. Even this AEP, 4 sales weren't written because I just didn't have time to get to them. I don't want any more leads. I've got, my goal is to get the leads to the rest of the people on my team.
Rebecca,
Or-
are these goals for like Cannonball to hold us accountable to, so they're actually our goals? Or is it goals like things that we need from Cannonball? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's more of like what I can help you specifically achieve. So some goals that you'll put on your own deal are things that ultimately I can't help you with. I mean, I can always help you, you know, but it is more on you than on me. But these are the goals that you would love to see Cannonball accomplish, which ultimately would help each and every one of you. So I'm putting all your ideas. So I saw you put in the chat, Mark. Mark said, more help with direct mail leads and printing. And I think that's great. And that is something we have talked about in the past. So I put that on the board. Jenny, you were my next one, but I saw Mark and Tom was talking, so I grabbed his. So Jenny, I'm calling on you. What is something that you would love to see on our bingo board that you would think that would help you or the team as a whole that we can do?
So me personally or Cannonball as a whole?
Well, usually, okay, say like Mark's comment, direct mail leads and printing. Yes, that helps him specifically, but raise your hand if you think that would help you too, right? It's going to help
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah. So, and then Tom, 15 new agents. Now that's actually more specific to him. But here's the thing. If I can help Tom recruit 15 new agents through ideas, those ideas would also transfer over to you, to Jenny, to Regina, to anybody else wanting to recruit 15 agents or whatever the agent count is, right? The idea is the idea. So you're just giving me thoughts of things that I can help with that ultimately will still transfer to anybody because we're all in the same business for the most part, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking. So yeah, I mean, I was very intrigued by him having all those agents, and you and I have talked about me having, I don't have, I haven't built that up at all, pretty much. And so, yeah, that was interesting. I do always look forward on the trainings, Rebecca. I do the continual of the new products. So keeping on top of that, like with the dental is still the best one, etc.
Wait, I'm not quite understanding. Can you reframe that?
So as far as a team, I like to see you continuing with very specific trainings for products and for
Okay.
systems.
Okay, once products
And
systems.
systems like the continuing on the boss.
Got it.
I mean, I have questions about that. I mean, like what do I need to know that I don't know that I need to know? Like jot form, when you introduced that, was life changing. I didn't even know. So that's the kind of things I learned from these times that why I keep coming back.
You
Gotcha.
don't know anything about what? Oh,
Perfect. Exactly. Okay, so Katie wants more marketing funds like what you did for Blue Cross. Okay. I'll put that on there, but I think we really need to reposition that, Katie, because some of that is actually based on sales, right? So Humana, like for AEP, gives out marketing funds, and as you hit those numbers, and I talk about on the calls how to turn in things like that in your marketing requests and things so we can get you funds. So some of that you have to do a little due diligence or more on your back end, because a lot of times there is marketing money available and a lot of agents aren't taking advantage of it. I see that a lot. We usually have a small request that you submit us what your plans are doing with the marketing money, and then ultimately keeping a tracker of some sort or filling us in on the sales so we can track the sales to the marketing money. So
I think just like
Uh,
more opportunities.
yeah, and that's kind of how I was going to reframe it.
Yeah.
So we'll say more ways to earn marketing money. How about that?
Perfect.
Marketing dollars. Because everybody always likes marketing dollars, but I think that's maybe a better way to frame it. Perfect. Okay. Then Sandra wants more communication and with onboarding. Sandra, can you let Tom let you speak and be a little more specific on that?
Yes, it's just, I mean, the whole process of getting agents on board, we don't know half of the stuff that had been done on the process when we started out. And to get answers, it was like, seems like we were having to call every single day. I mean, it would have been much easier, in my opinion, to communicate on having maybe a call for onboarding. Just because we had so many coming on board, and it just, I know it takes time, but we started back in March and there was so many slipping through the cracks. How do we prevent that?
Okay, so you had a live onboarding sheet that I was given to you right at the beginning with all your people on it, with tracking of who was resent links and who had turned them in and who ultimately just never did their contracting.
Okay, well, let me interrupt you real quick, because I am one of the ones that slipped through the cracks, sweetheart. I am one that I cannot write any Cigna business because I was not shown in the system that I had done my certifications and done everything I was supposed to. And so therefore I had to give that business away during AEP, because I just got communication from Stephanie saying that it was all a mistake. It was all a mistake. If I would have known that long before AEP, I could have corrected it before AEP started and I did my certifications. I don't know if there's any way to repair the communication there. I just wish that I would have known this.
Sandra, part of this would be communication with me and not trying to go around and go to agent pipeline, because honestly, this is the first I've heard of it. Nobody has told me this. You've never expressed this to me, and pipeline has never told me this.
No, I went to my upline,
She
Rebecca.
went through her upline, me, and I went to Stephanie.
Well, that leaves me out of the loop.
It was because she showed she had her certifications done.
I did. I thought he copied
And
you in it, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
So she had showed she had her certifications in, and because we didn't know that she wasn't able to write until about 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. So it wasn't, she doesn't write a whole lot of Cigna anyhow. She's really tied heavy into UHC and Humana. So when she goes to write the Cigna, all of a sudden they're saying you're not there. And then how it's all come back is it was a mistake, that Agent Pipeline came back and said it was a mistake. The other, what ties into this though is also like, we get agents and we send them, they fill out your profile sheet.
Yep.
And then, like, I didn't know that the one, I forget what I didn't know Paula Laudermilk she didn't like, I guess, the format or whatever that you had done. She filled out the sheet and then she didn't know, and then she ended up going to another agency while we were in Niagara Falls, and came in and didn't even know that she had decided she didn't either fill out the rest of the format, the profile or whatever. So it just took a while in the communication for us to see that
Mhm.
that we lost her. But onboarding's always been an issue. I think it is with almost every carrier. But we need to find out if there's a way that we can streamline more to see exactly where in the mix. I know that you added at that time. I didn't think you added the other person to come in and help with the onboarding. But if there's a way to help, there's a way to be able to track maybe where if one of these new folks I'm bringing on, if they're not doing something, it's going to be a lot easier since I'm taking myself out of the field and concentrating on this. I'm kind of going to be delegating myself to making sure this is happening. But without having somebody's eyes 100% on it, it's easy for a new agent to get slipped through the cracks. And we just want to see if there's a way to do a check mark list, because we're going to you, and sometimes we go to Stephanie and we CC you on it. We just want to make sure that everything goes on smoothly.
Well, I can tell you right now, never go around me, and that will help some of it because I hold a weekly contracting call with Pipeline, which is every Thursday morning, which is what I was on this
Mhm.
morning when we were chatting a little bit. And all we do is fight the problems. So if I know the problem's there, outside of the normal communication with them, we sit down with them and on Thursday mornings and hash out any actual problems. So when I'm privy to the loop, you get put on that list. And hopefully we get it fixed a whole lot sooner. I had no idea about the Cigna. This is truly the first time I've heard of that. So I will put in there for Sandra and for general, because I'm sure everybody has some problems with onboarding or contracting. It's a pain in the ass, let's be honest. And the bigger your team, the bigger the pain it can be. And it absolutely
Mhm.
100% can always be better. I promise you, it
And-
can always be better on
And
my end.
knowing,
It can be better on Pipeline's end. I mean, there's a reason why I have a Thursday morning call, because it was a shit show the first 6 months and I was ripping them to shreds over it. And so we decided to have a call to keep up with things. So I feel your pain, Sandra, and I'm putting it on the board. And I think this is something the three of us need to get together on too, and then re-go through everybody on your team and just see where we're at.
Okay.
that was what the close thing would do. I need to see what carriers all of my folks have and who they have, and just also to make sure, like, with the issue that I had with one of the carriers was it was coming from Next Gen. And I thought Next Gen I didn't know that Next Gen was who's doing the payroll. I thought Next Gen was another one of these broker dealers trying to get business. So I kept deleting it. And you go, Tom, I've sent you
Yeah, I remember that one because
I'm
it's all
not
state.
going, I didn't get it because I got this thing. If I'd have known it was coming from Next Gen, I would have been able to look for Next Gen. Because
Okay.
all we get bombarded by everybody's trying to get
Yes, we did.
us or a piece of us or wants us to write some part of that. And so we want to, one of the reasons coming to here is consolidate
Right.
and not to have to deal with, and I didn't know. So if there's a way that now we know who Next Gen is, but for other people that are on the line, we just have to make sure the people that we bring in, we've made this list of here's the corrections that we're doing. So that way Jen and Travis and myself and Sandra, we can try to do a lot of this in-house, but if we also can make sure that for benefit of other folks, if they want to grow, it's easy for people to slip through.
Mm.
Isaiah, I think, slipped through some of the stuff because he couldn't get the United, but it didn't mean he couldn't get the other stuff. I don't know if he even tried to do anything else. Just want to see that as folks are coming in, we keep a
Well,
burr underneath them about, hey, you've got to do this. I think Dr. Bree didn't get her retina done. You know, and it was sent to her 3 or 4 times. So we just need to say, hey, look, Tom, this was sent out. They got to do it. So
yep. So I
that
think
kind
we
of stuff.
definitely need to have a catch-up call on your contracting because I can tell you all the issues with the Zias. But that's not really the group's.
I know it's not for the group, but it
Yeah.
is just that
Yeah, but
when you
I get
bring
it.
people on,
So
it's there. And Janine, I guess another a good place to look for agents is your clients. Your clients, I've got a lot of people on Medicare that agents for me that produce really well. One of my top producers, bringing in new business this year, she came aboard and then I wrote her up and she was a client and now she's an agent. So I've got like 5 agents that were my clients at one point. It's easy for them because they're talking to people that didn't know. So look, if you have some folks that are on Medicare, you know, see if they're looking for part-time money. It's kind of an easy source to do that.
okay, so Candace Hall, recruiting techniques, some more in recruiting. So I got that on there. Let's see. So Mark, personal introductions help building relationships with broker reps. I 100% believe in that, but the problem with it for Cannonball Nation, I mean, I can introduce you to mine, but everybody on this call is in a different sub area, and
Right.
my
So
reps
what
won't
about doing
necessarily
like,
be your reps.
so what about doing like, like maybe like a 5 video course beyond like the weekly training or something like that? Like do this, then do this, then do this. Cause you know, I struggled to build any broker rep relationships for a year until I spent that time with you earlier this year. And you were able to kind of piece some of that stuff together for me, like, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3 kind of a deal.
Okay. So a mini course on building broker relationships.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for the team,
Okay.
especially for new agents.
Well, I guess carrier manager, right?
I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, I think broker, I think that's what we are. Carrier manager relationships. I knew what you meant, but I think on the board, when I get away from the call, like 6 months from now, I might forget what I was talking about.
Yeah, so I'm specifically talking about like, you know, building up relationships with the Humana rep or the.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yep, because you're getting that marketing money now from them and you're super happy.
And I'm really happy about that. Yes,
Yeah. Best social media lead gen. Candace, I'm going to leave that one off the board because you are now getting a weekly marketing training with Melissa, and that's like entire year worth of stuff like that. So I'm going to
Well,
leave
I
that
think
one
you
off.
should add
Oh,
that to
that's
the
right.
board. You should add it to the board and then we get one square already.
No, that's cheating.
See, everybody on the call agrees, right? Everybody nod.
I think Sharon leads kind of goes with that. I mean, there's 52 marketing days coming to you. So rethink on that. If maybe if you can reframe it slightly differently where it's more specific, then I can put it
You
specifically on the
can
board.
make it an implementation of the marketing though. So we're gonna get trained by Melissa and then we have to implement 5 things that she told us.
Oh, that's great, Tom. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
I
perfect.
like that too.
And then
You
I think
like
that should
that?
be like
All
at
right,
least
Sharon,
3
I'll put
Yeah.
that
squares.
one as yours. Implement, let's
Thanks,
see.
Tom.
I think that should be
Eh,
shared by Sharon and Tom.
I'm gonna put it for Sharon because everybody's got to get on the board at some place. And then of course some of you will have multiple, but that's fine. But I got to get at least everybody on the board one time so you can cash in on the prizes. Sharon implementation of a minimum of 5 new marketing ideas. Sound good?
Yeah, because learning them without doing it doesn't do any good.
Yes, good on. That looks good.
Yeah, okay.
You have
I'm
to
writing it
read.
down on a hard piece of paper too. Okay, and then Karen, learn to use AI so we can smart card. You know what, Karen? That is actually one of the #1 things on my personal bingo board. So I'm all about that for the team. I am like so in on trying to figure out AI this year that it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's
So
like between what I've learned some stuff from Sandra, I've downloaded Cursive and Chat GPT just so, it's supposed to help because it's mainly the prompts. If you don't put a good prompt in, you don't get a good working solution out. So it's something I think if the team could learn from
okay,
what I've learned.
now
that's
AI, everything smarter, not harder. That could be 500 million things. And
Right.
I'm actually going to try to learn 500 million things in 2025. But let's get one specific one on the bingo board. And this is one that I have been working on for a while and I still don't have it fully figured out. So I think it'll be a great one for the team. And I guarantee you, every one of you can use this. And that is an AI receptionist that books your appointments and schedules callbacks and answers basic questions. You like that one?
But it's okay. We
Yeah, that's
don't have to like them all.
Yeah, the FAQs, and then, feed it into the AI for it to answer.
Hey, Spilsbury. One minimum, no, one LOA. Let's see, how can I word this? Because you said hire and retain at least one LOA. So one LOA fully onboarded. We'll put that boarded. Because then you'll have hired them and you'll have retained them and they'll have been working and you'll be seeing the privies to that. Cool. Client referral incentive ideas. Tina, dig into that a little bit more with me. What do you mean by that?
I still work full time, so a lot of my clients come from referrals. A lot of times they'll say, "Yeah, I'll tell everybody I know," but they don't. So I'm trying to figure out how to more entice them to actually to connect and to follow through with that.
So, I know lots of people that do lots of different things on this. Some people give gift cards and things like that. And I've been asked in the past if I do that, and I personally don't. Anything I do for kind of this concept, just for me personally, and we can talk about this, is more on the retention side. So if I'm winning at retaining them, they're eventually going to talk about me to somebody, because a lot of times people will say that, but they don't run into anybody that that needs insurance. They already have a guy, or they're a homebody and they don't get out. So even a person like that, you could be giving them $100 a referral, which is not legal, but you could be. They're still not going to give you anything because they have nobody to give.
Right.
So when I think of client referrals, the best way to get client referrals, and I'm not going to put this one on the bingo board. I want you to swing back around, give me another idea. But when I think of client referrals, it goes back to the retention and how you made them feel to begin with. If you are doing the proper job to begin with, and then are holding their hands, and throughout the year, the referrals are going to come 100% naturally. And you're not going
That's true.
to have to ask. Now, asking is great. Ask Mark. He asks all the time. He's the best asker on referrals. I guarantee it. But if you're truly making them feel a certain way in your meeting, in your appointment, you won't even have to ask. It'll be natural. And then you won't have to incentivize them to give you that. Because the ones you ultimately will need to incentivize to give you that won't have any to give you anyways. Otherwise, they would already be giving them to you. So I
Sure.
would focus more personally on client retention ideas, which makes them know, like, and trust you more, which is going to generate more referrals. What about that?
Fair.
Do you like
That
that?
was, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you want to know just strictly about asking for the referral, I promise you there's nobody better on this call than Mark about it. And Tina, I highly recommend you go back into the school classroom because it's one of the videos I brought over. I had very few people on that call that year because it was kind of like a day like this. But it was a training that I absolutely loved doing and I loved having it. And it is called Creating the Wow Factor in Your Business. And I believe it's under sales training and motivation. And just find the one that says wow in big letters. I highly recommend when you get some time to go and watch that. I think you'll enjoy it very much and it will help you with this thought process as well. So I'm going to put specifically though, more client retention ideas to get more referrals. So basically we're going to love on our current clients because by doing that, they're going to naturally give us more referrals.
But what does that action item look like from KBI to us though?
Well, it'll be things that I help you with to give you ideas and then you will have to go implement them in your business.
Right. Okay. Sorry. So what I'm getting at here, right, is, and I know that we're just in the brainstorming part of this, right? But kind of what I'm hearing on a lot of different ideas here is, uh, and I know you've implemented a lot of this stuff already, but they're kind of in disparate systems right now. So like I really like the idea of what you went over in the last training where you had that spreadsheet, right? It's like a centralized place where there was like, and it was almost like a checklist going across the top of, we got to do this, we got to make sure this is done, we got to make sure this is done, we got to make sure that, right? And so if I could just suggest, maybe, possibly, that this kind of action item, or the one that was mentioned earlier about the certification stuff, is that there be like a centralized spreadsheet for each broker, right? Where we have like a checklist of your client retention ideas so that we can go through that and go, okay, well, here's my client, Rebecca. Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this on the client retention side or something like that, right? A tool that we could utilize to see if we're doing all those activities instead of just like, so anyway, so that's like, I'm trying to look at ways that KBI can deliver us tools where we could like really engage with them and take ourselves to that next level, right? And I think like the certification thing would be one of those things that I know I would find that useful, and it would probably save you a lot of time in the long run, because you and I have had very long certification, like, okay, Rebecca, am I actually appointed with this carrier? And do I need to do my certifications and that kind of thing, and I always panic around August, September, like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm actually appointed with this carrier or whatnot, right? And it'd be great to be able to go to a centralized place. And I know that you guys have that in that tool that I can never remember the name of, that's tied into the Access database, but I can never remember the name of it or how to get logged into it, or
Power
what.
BI that has
Yeah.
the graphs of the carriers in the states that you're appointed with
Right.
that nobody ever checks.
Right. Well, I mean, I've gone in there a few times to check it, but it's really challenging to use. And
So let me ask you this on that note. Because you're right, some of the stuff we do already have implemented, some we don't, right? Some of this I can see what I can figure out. But the ones like we do have utilized or in place, how do I make it to where you actually do utilize those tools?
Yeah, so I think I used to have to deal with this stuff when I was working in corporate America, right? And you know, like you'd get a new manager and they'd implement a new database tool, right? And nobody would ever use it, right? And so you're trying to deal with internal engagement stuff, right? So those are different questions and things. But what it always came down to on the teams that I worked on, Rebecca, was ease of access and simplicity, right? So that's why I really liked your spreadsheet last week, because there's nothing easier than clicking on Google, and maybe this would be part of school. I don't know if school has the ability to have like only I can see my sheets or something like that. But if I right now I got to remember a whole separate login. I got to remember how to use Power BI. I'm not saying that you don't use Power BI to fill out the spreadsheet or the report, right? But like if we could have maybe a monthly on the certification thing, just using that as an example, if we could each have a monthly certification report that was spit out by Power BI that was delivered to us, say via email or on a spreadsheet, right? Then
So like,
we
okay,
can
just
know
using that as example, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. A monthly where it shows like what you're ready to sell for, what you've completed.
Yeah, like, okay, so for example, like all of the carriers that you work with listed, right? And then which ones am I appointed with and ready to sell with? And then that gives me like a check, or might give the team a checklist of, oh, holy crap, I really should be appointed with this one over here, and then I can approach it's Hunter, right?
Well, one
Yeah,
of them,
and then,
yeah.
right. And then
Hunter
I
and
can
Terror.
approach Hunter and go, hey Hunter, I need to be appointed with this, with these 3 carriers. Can we get the process started? Right. And I don't think that there's anything like that right now. Right now, we're kind of chasing the tail of the certification thing.
Well, in Power BI, it does have the cannonball appointments, like everything we hold an appointment for in every state.
Right.
So you can cross-reference it a little bit. I know Power BI, it's cool, but it does take a little bit of a tech mind to see it or
And
to
I guarantee you, if
understand
I'm
it.
having a hard time with it,
Yeah, I know, I get it. And some of that is part of the boss CRM in the future, right? As we get everybody onboarded with it and using it properly, like the dashboard of boss will start having some of this stuff in it for you, which will help. But then some of the requests that you mentioned there, I don't even think I have access to. Like I can tell you if you're ready to sell when you first come on or have the carrier, but once, new year hits where you got to recertify and do all that, I don't get a list of that. Like that is not something I see or I get. And carriers for the most part don't give it to me. I have like 2 carriers and Blue Cross being one of them, just because it depends on the way we're all contracted.
so you don't get a report of
I do not.
we could talk about this later, but
Yeah.
I just an idea of like maybe some sort of report that's spit out with the relevant information,
Yeah.
or like in the contest that we have, or for example this Bingoals thing, right? Maybe a once a month automatic email, hey team, we hit these squares on the Bengals, or like how you started to post the rankings of people during the annual contest thing on the Facebook group. Maybe like spit that out, or have it to where we can track kind of like, oh hey, I'm a little bit light on these 4 lines of business that would put me ahead in the contest. Maybe I can focus my marketing or my direct mail or whatever else on those things, and then we can get you to spend a lot more money on the annual contest.
So Tom, yeah, you're still on. Okay. More marketing and automation. So we talked about marketing already. So automation, I put that, more automation help. That's probably going to go kind of back to Karen's AI, but I get how important that stuff is. So I'm going to put it on there twice because I think I put something kind of very specific on Karen because I think it's something once it's built out and we've been working on it that y'all are going to love, and it will be implemented in Boss for you. So it'll be in the CRM for you to use on what Karen talked about, and that's a big project, and it's something we have been really trying to figure out, but then AEP hit and I had to kind of move away from it, to, do AEP, but now we're circling back around and we'll get back into that. So for Tom, and more just automation in general, again, that's a lot of the stuff in Boss. So for those of you who have the Boss or want to utilize it, you just need to let us know, because Boss has a ton of automation in it already. I know several of you all are automating several things like Facebook ads and scopes sending out and drug things sending out. There's a lot of that going on in there already. So if you're not utilizing that system, I would highly recommend start there as we build out more automation. But automation is always important, so it's on the square. Christy, as a newer agent, help with steps or process in field of building relationships, doctor, pharmacy, after making initial. I can,
Well, that
after
would be
making
like that,
initial,
right?
also flow. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, but just a different side of it. Also flow of client processes after. Okay, I'm going to pull out the flow of client processes after the sale.
Okay.
I think that would also circle back to some of the more clarity for Sandra on things that she understands, but maybe newer agents don't. So I think that might be helpful to them. So a flow process, flow of client process, a flow process after the sale of what you do, because that would trigger on kind of a little bit of what Sandra was talking about. That goes back to the retaining and getting referrals. I think that wraps that kind of up. So I will put that on that part of it on the board. And then as far as your other piece, I think you're absolutely right, Mark. That is something I can kind of build into that other mini course. This is part of it.
And then that could actually be like a deliverable for the I don't forget what you're calling it, the go high level. There could be like a process or a script to follow on
Well,
how,
we can build it in. Like we could
yeah,
literally make the process flow in there, or like it automatically, if you put the client in check the right box, it'll automatically trigger this process and you just follow the process along.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I will, once we get all the ideas, I'll take some time this weekend and really kind of make this understandable and, like what you said, a little more action orientated, Mark. And then once I have it done, I will give it to everybody that was on this call for them to have a copy of it, and we can all do the bingo together. How about if we create our own marketing after Melissa's training? Yeah, that kind of goes back to Sharon's implementation of 5 of the new marketing pieces, minimum 5 new marketing pieces after Melissa's calls. That goes back to that. How to build a team and what needs to be done with contracting. Viola, we kind of already have that one on the board. So if you can throw something else in there. 15 new referral partners. Do we want to be less specific or more aggressive on this? Adjusting the goal is fine. 15 new referral partners.
That sounds like
Yeah, that's similar too.
You talking about building out a circle of influence? Is that what you're trying to establish there?
Well, Allie Bywater, she's 15 new referral partners. So referral partners are, like doctor's office, dentist's office, lawyers, disability attorneys, real estate people, PNC people, local coffee shops. I mean, this list is kind of endless. And a lot of this, honestly, Allie, is in my grassroots book. Do you have that book?
Yep, she has it.
Yes, I do. I read it and I've been trying to go through the list, actually. Yeah. I just wasn't sure if each of us were required to put something on the bingo card today.
You are, but I don't want to be redundant. I like some
Right.
stuff that's there. So I get what you're asking. And that is definitely, back to the marketing. And Melissa's going to be really hyper focused on marketing. I've done a lot, but she's really going to dig into it with you guys. So I don't want to take away from her training, so to speak. But I mean, a lot of that's in the book. We could talk about that. You know, we could definitely do a training on building referral partners. We could just do that in general. But I think we need something a little more, a different idea for the board, because I think we're getting a lot of marketing stuff on there. So come on, just throw another idea out there, sweetie.
Sure.
Is that one we decided to get a bear? Yes, yes, get the bear costume. Absolutely. Put a kid in it. I got Cannon for rent for all masquerade things.
Did you want to put a production kind of goal? Averaging four enrollments a month? Or you want, we should all be going for at least 50 enrollments during lock-in.
Well, I think
So-
everybody's situation's a little different, Tom. So instead of putting a number to it, let's put a percentage. I want to
Okay.
grow. So when I was more in most of y'all's shoes, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to double your business every year. Until you get to the $1 million mark, you should be able to double your book of business every year. Now, some of you won't because you don't want to get that big, and I get it, because then you're getting to staff and LOAs and do that. But if you're below, let's say, $250,000 worth of income a year right now, you should absolutely be able to double your book of business every year until you get to that point. Once you get to that point, you may have a harder time doubling it because you're going to start to get on the overwhelmed feeling of I got too many clients and not enough to do in a lot of senses, depending on like what product line they have and how many clients actually. Are you a bundler? Well, then you may have less clients than somebody that only sells ACA, right? So that'll be a little adjustable there. But honestly, until you get to that 250, unless you just don't want to get that big, you should be able to double your book of business and into some realm, like I said, depending on product stack, you could probably even do it to 500 with just you and an assistant. After that, you're not going to be able to grow, or at least not very much, not to a very high percentage, unless you bring on help. Either a downline, where now you're offloading leads to a downline to grow, or LOAs or assistants. From there, you're going to be kind of stuck spinning your wheels because you're going to be so busy just trying to service that book and renew that book. It makes it really hard to grow. And when you get into that point, then the only way you could possibly grow is in the off-season SCP, because AEP, you're only going to be doing renewals. It's impossible to do anything else but renewals at that size. And SCP is where Cannonball, to be quite frank, even with the team that I have, grows. At this point, I do not worry about growing an AEP. If we do, freaking fantastic. But as my internal organization, our goal is to maintain, to get everybody renewed and to maintain what we have. Because if we maintain, then come January 1, we can start growing again. So I focus on growth for 9 months out of the year, and I focus on retention for the last quarter. I want to retain what we grow. Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels. And once you get to a certain size, you kind of have to do that. But until you're at that size, you should be focusing on doubling your business. So if you have 10 clients, you should be able to get 20. You should, honestly, if you're taking this full time, you should be able to get 20 like that if you're brand new. But let's say, you're super part-time, you work 1 day a week because you got another job, double the business. If you got 100 clients, you should be able to double. Another rule of thumb I always live by, and when I was growing my book and what I've seen, whatever you do in AEP, you should be able to do an SCP. So if you brought on 100 new clients in AEP, there's no reason why you can't do 100 new clients in SCP. And if you get really good at it, you'll do 300 new clients in SCP for the 100 in AEP, because then you're getting to that renewal process again. But anything you do in AEP, you should be able to redo an SCP. And that's where you're going to really see that growth model. So my challenge to all of you, because I do know where most of you are at, my challenge to you is to, and I'm not going to put double because this is a team effort, right? We all got to do it that's on this call. But there's probably absolutely, is there anybody in here? Let me ask this because I'm not 100% sure. Is there anybody in here, put in the chat, that is not treating this as a full-time job? Or trying to treat it as a full-time job?
There's a couple.
You mean it's supposed to be something more than a hobby?
Well, my point is that if you're working, if you're a lawyer, let's say, I mean, I don't think she's on here anymore, but we'll use Ebony because I don't think it's a secret. Ebony works for the IRS. She has a really good job working for the IRS from home. She makes a ton of money, and
I
she
wish I would've
started.
known that.
She started this, for extra funds. Well, it's turned into, a full-time job. So she's almost working 2 full-time jobs, but we will use her. Let's say she wasn't, she just wanted to build something up for retirement, maybe, right? So she was working this on weekends. If you're somebody that's only working this on weekends because you can only do it on weekends, or because you absolutely have no other interest, then we probably need to skew the numbers slightly. But I think for the most part, everybody's on here is wanting to develop a real business and grow. So we're going to put, for the bingo board, we're going to put grow in 2025 by 50%. Because like I said, I think most of you should be on the 100% grow path rate. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit for our part-timers, because even our part-timers should be able to grow by 50% because their book isn't as big as our full-timers generally. So if you have a book of 50, because you're part-time, I want to see a book of 100 or a book of 75 rather by the end of the year. That means you added 25 new clients. If you have a book of 400, I want to see 200 new clients. And for some of you, that's a really low bar. I know well and good the way you work and the way you are about your business, that's a really low bar. But I think for others, 100% is really scary number. So let's do 50% across the board. Everybody on this call has to do 50%. Now, for me to track this, I need you to send me an email or a text or something. Don't put in the chat unless you want to. I mean, but some people don't like to do that. But I need to know what our starting number is. So send me a number. I have 500 clients. I have 200 clients. I don't care if they're ACA or Medicare, and only give me prime targets, right? I don't want to know that you have 500 dentals and 10 ACA. A dental after 1 year is not going to feed your family. We're talking about feeding your family, right? So I want to know how many core clients you have. If you feel comfortable putting in the chat, put in the chat and I'll write it down. Otherwise, you can just email it to me or text it to me. All right, so ACA workshops, have an ACA guru walk through some specific issues that new agents are having. Allie, have you been fully through the boot camp?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so you want an ongoing.
It could even be one thing within our group, we don't have any ACA gurus yet. We're all kind of new to ACA. So maybe if it's just connecting with somebody who has a really big book of business and is a lot more experienced at it, that would be helpful. And maybe even going through, there's a setting in Health Sherpa that I'd like somebody to look at with me, just things like that. Maybe it's just a one-time workshop and people opt in and we see how it goes. If you group agents together for a specific thing, and then they can stay in contact afterward.
Okay.
Hey, Rebecca, I'm so sorry, but I gotta run.
All right, Mark. Well, we'll finish the board and you'll get a copy of it once I have it done.
Okay, I sent you a Facebook message with
Okay,
what I have so
perfect.
far. So, all right.
Perfect. Christy, real quick, is that 15 more to grow or you have 15? Because I know you're brand new. You're
I have
at
15 total.
currently? Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Well, because I know who you are and where you're getting your training from. Yeah, 7.5 apps is not.
I can do that. Can double it would be great.
Easily.
I'm putting it down on a piece of paper because you are getting a different number. You are going to give me 50 apps for this contest minimum. You're going to blow that out of the water. I can tell you that right now, but I'm not going to let you slide by with 7 apps. So I wrote that down specific for you.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what, so back to, I was thinking on that, Allie. So ACA workshop. I'm going to put it on the board. I understand what you're asking. And since you have gone through the boot camp, I think I understand even more what you're asking. So it's almost like a follow-up workshop.
Yes. And to kind of maybe give people more confidence once they're up and going.
Follow up after boot camp. I'm going to put it after the boot camp. So if you've gone
Yes.
fully through the boot camp, then you can go be into the follow-up workshop, kind of like the next, what's next kind of thing.
Yes.
Do you like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I struggle with knowing how many people I actually have as clients. I know that is ridiculous, but I'll figure it out. Assign it to one of your VAs. I know you're really good at delegation. There's nobody better at delegation in this group than Kate. I can promise you that. When she sent me over her structure for her assistants, I about fell out of my chair. I was like, I have a team of 10 or 12 people, 15 at any given time, and I don't think they get through all that in a week. And she's got 2 people that, I mean, the list is endless. She knows how to delegate. I know you're using your own Go High Level and stuff, Kate. And I don't know if you have any interest in switching over to ours. I mean, that's another huge undertaking, which you probably don't have time for. But you would think that that system could spit out that number for you pretty quickly if you just ran a report of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. I'll figure
The
it out.
other
Well,
thing is,
the
because I
problem
think
is
you're,
that with all the, I have to double check everything. I mean, because you don't know what ended up falling through, with.
yep. So you're going to
Yeah.
get on that call with Orlando, right? That we talked about?
Which call? I'm so sorry.
About using how to use Access to track your commissions. You're doing it yourself.
Oh yeah, I think I have. I don't even know what appointments I have right now, but
Well,
I think
I don't think you said it, but I told you because you asked how to do that, and I said, well, Orlando can walk you through it. So if you do that with him, you will have, once you run the reports through that, they'll have him teach you how to set it up and run the reports. You'll have that answer
Oh
almost instantly.
yeah, I did delegate that to one of my assistants to set up for me. So I need to follow up on that.
So when she does, and when she runs those reports, you'll have your number. You'll have your answer.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Because that'll weed out all the ones that fell off too. All right, guys, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more boxes. And I have people on this call that I don't think. Regina Banks, we do not have a square for you yet, my dear. And of all people,
I was just letting everybody else take their turn.
well, it's now your turn. So what do you got for me?
Well, I mean, recruiting is already there, so that's a big focus for mine. But
Okay.
another thing is, and I don't know exactly how to combine these two together, but to use contacts or resources that Cannonball may already have to help me or other people expand to different areas, such as I want to expand into Houston and maybe the surrounding areas of Houston, like Spring and these other areas, but especially into the areas, if there's a way to do it. I know in the United Healthcare thing, you can go and look up meetings that are happening in locally with United Healthcare scheduled. But in areas that have very few, if any, T65 meetings, Medicare 101 meetings, or very few agents that do anything but sit in their office and wait for somebody to walk in because they're the one and only choice they have. Does that make sense?
Yep. Just trying to think of how to word that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know how to like exactly word it.
Sometimes wording these into a bullet point for a board is a little difficult, but I know what you're saying. So Regina, how to find, you're gonna love this, find and prime an underworked market.
Yes.
Which is really funny you bring that up because it's part of the reason why I grew so fast, because I figured that out early on. So perfect. That's always a really good type of niche. You can niche it down where you can find like just like a specific city or county, or you can niche it down like to like a specific type of people, you know, like Indians or Alaskan natives or Hispanics or, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. Do you want like, are you wanting more of trainings on it, or if you're wanting more of just like resources? Like what if?
Resources, like like resources, whether it's broker managers, whether it's sales managers, whether it's, I don't know, your aunt.
Okay.
Like I'm going to leverage my sister a little bit in Houston, who works in the rehab assisted living marketing type industry. And so I'm going to leverage her a little bit for the Houston area. But I really want, like, I want it areas, not people, areas. Because if I find the area that's underworked, that's a good word for it, then, and I can bring the people to me, it's a done deal.
Gotcha. Okay. I like it.
And how to like, I don't know if there's a way, because I know like with United Healthcare, you can go into Mirror and you can put in like the zip code and look for local events, or even on United Healthcare's website, you can go look for local meetings and stuff. Like a way where how we know where it's underworked, because that's what I don't know how to figure out. Because everywhere you go, there's already 5 agents there. There's already this many doing that, and this many over here, and that many over there, and it's just like, no, I need somewhere nobody's working.
Okay.
Not because I'm lazy, but because I'm greedy.
Well, it's not about greedy, I don't think either. I think it's just smart, right? Smart business. Because in a place like that, then you're going to hyper focus on where you put your marketing dollars, right? There's more wrapped up into it than just that. So don't feel that way. But when you find a market like that, you're going to go all in on it, throw all your resources, all your marketing money. You're going to, it's, we call it a honey hole. It is what generally we call it around.
Yeah.
For those of us that talk about it, it's about finding your own honey hole. And I think everybody has one. Kevin Cohen, who's not on this call, some of you may know him. He has a huge honey hole up there in Arkansas, where he's at with the Native Americans. It's an absolutely huge honey hole. And, you know, so it's just about finding that honey hole. And it's not about you still got to work the honey hole, right? Just because it says, you know, here, you still got to show up.
Yeah.
So it has nothing
Yeah,
to do with being lazy. It's just a matter of finding that hot spot that you can kind of own that market.
Well,
So
I'm not lazy.
I know you're not.
I'm not lazy. I just want to like grow, but I think this is one of the ways that people can grow.
Yep. I think it's good for everybody. All right, Viola, how to set up webinars. And I'm sure you're talking about like Medicare, Facebook webinars. I put that on there. that is actually something kind of on my to-do list this year. I don't know how much I'm going to actually implement them, but I do want that option, and I figured it would be good for the entire team once we had that figured out. So that is on our to-do list. So I put it on the
No audio.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me now? Yes? Awesome. That was weird. It like
Can hear you
switched
now.
its own mic. I didn't do that. Okay, so this one I was putting on there, the January 1/1s are already here. So we can't change the numbers now. I don't know the numbers yet, so don't ask me. That's something Orlando's working on diligently right now, trying to figure out for us. But 2024's numbers are already in. This is a matter of figuring them out. But for 2025, I want you all to focus on trying to be an agent trip qualifier. And then if you do the board that we have created, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be an agent qualifier, right? So I think if you do the board, or if we do the board as a group, and you get all these things accomplished, and we help you with all these things, and you have the resources, and you do the board, I don't see why you wouldn't be a qualifier. So the goal here is to work the board, have Cannonball help you with all these things, and we'll build out this board, and we're all going to go on an agent trip together. So now that 5 more, gosh, there's 25 is a lot of spaces, you know that? Okay, writing newsletter monthly with inspiring topics. Tina, we do a newsletter. We've trained on it many times. So can you be tell me some more specific, like what's in your head?
I just didn't realize there was if there's something out there already, I just didn't realize it. I just like to send a newsletter monthly. I need to be more specific about it or more on top of it to make sure it happens. It gets out to everybody.
So you're going to write yourself a big fat Post-it note and put newsletter on there. And that is a Melissa to do that you can put on her to-do list because she builds them all out in Canva, which she's going to train you on. And she builds a fabulous looking newsletter. And I've been doing newsletters since almost day one.
Not going to jump up there that way.
So I got an idea though, not just around that, but in general, and this will help you with the retention piece. And it also helps with what Mark was asking for, which is more action step orientated. So your goal, touch, we're going to call it, I'm going to put it on here, touch point, because you're actually on here already, aren't you, Tina? You did get on here. Tina. No, we're not. So we're gonna, oh yeah, there you are. Okay. So touch point goal. I want you to have, because you should probably have 3 to 5 touch points in the first 90 days. So touch point goal is 12 for the year. And what that means is for your book of business, from the time you bring them on and add them to your book to the end of the year, you should have 12 touch points to them. So thank you card, birthday card, Christmas card. There's 3 right there. Simple, right? Newsletters. Now I used to do a quarterly mail out newsletter. And as your book grows, some of you can relate, it starts to get really expensive, especially since they keep upping the price of stamps. So I turned my quarterly mail out newsletter to a semi-annual mail out newsletter and then a semi-annual email newsletter to help with postage. And then the mail out still goes out in email too. So those will get emailed. The other thing I do, I'm big on the Reminder Media magazine. There's trainings on it in the classroom. I'm big on that. I send that out quarterly as well. I don't send it to the same group of people every quarter. Usually I'll pick blocks of people, like maybe I send it all to all my Humana people this time, or I send it the last quarter. I had an LOA left. So his block of business is who I send it all to right before ACA or AAP. So reminding them we're their agent, not specifically that LOA, but us. So when you're new, you might be able to send it to everybody because you have a smaller book and it's affordable. But as you grow, again, it starts to become money. You got to figure out smart money. I'm big on smart money. And one of the things I'm really big on when it comes to spending my money on marketing is I personally like marketing that lingers. You know, you get something in the mail, they look at it, and they toss it because it's a flyer or a postcard. I mean, if you got an event and they need it, great, they may show up, but it's not going to linger. That's not going to get thrown in the bathroom. That's not going to get thrown on a coffee table. That's not going to sit around on the kitchen table because they haven't read it yet. I'm big on marketing that lingers. It's why part of the reason why I have billboards. I get asked all the time, well, how do you track your ROI on a billboard? You can't unless you put a specific number up there. And I'm not going to go to that trouble because this is another expense, but it lingers. Those people that drive that road to work see my face twice a day, right? And every day, whether they want to or not, right? It just gets ingrained in their skull. I have tables in restaurants that have my pretty little mug slapped onto the table, you know, with call me, you know, whatever. It's marketing. It lingers. It's every time they sit down. It doesn't matter which table they sit on at the restaurant. It's on every one of the tables in the restaurant. So they're going to see it. They can't get away from me. If they go to that restaurant, they're going to see my face, right? So I personally like marketing that lingers. So it's part of the reason why I like the Reminder Media magazine, because it is a tabletop type magazine. It's got recipes in it. You can build it out so it lingers. You don't instantly just throw it away. Funny enough, I got on somebody else's Reminder Media list, which is really funny. It was a tech, AI tech thing, and I got on their list. And you know what? I knew what it was. I laughed, but you know what I did with it? I slapped it on my kitchen table until I had time to just kind of flip through it real quick because I wanted to see, because you get to choose which magazine. There's like more to it. They don't all look the same. So I left it on my table to look through it. The lady on the cover had blue hair. I'm never going to forget it. Right? But it lingers. So even for me, that kind of thing lingers. It's why I like the idea of our discount card, because they put it in their wallet or they set it in their desk drawer. It lingers. They're going to trip over it every now and again and be like, oh yeah, I should use that, right? So one of my main focuses when I do marketing is, what is the linger time of the marketing? Is it a one and done? Or is it something they're going to see multiple times before they finally get rid of it somehow, before it comes down, or they throw it away, or they move away, right? So that's something I look at, my key points in marketing. So we're gonna put a 12 touch point, and I will rearrange that to make sense, but a 12 touch point system that focus on to touch your current clients 12 times. And I would say the same even for things you guys are trying to, generate referral partners and things like that. You know, a lead, they say the highest closing ratio is on the 12th call. Most people give up after call 2 or call 3 when they can't get a hold of them. Most sales happen on the 12th call. It works in any other thing too. So touch your clients 12 times a year minimum. That's really not enough. If you talk to the real marketing gurus, like that's what they do. Like Luke at Reminder Me, that's not enough. But I guarantee you're not doing 12 now. So if you could do 1 touch point a month, you would be gaining substantially. And I also believe, just for me personally, not everybody feels it this way. There is a time where you are no longer marketing, you are just being obnoxious. I won't say any names, but I get an email from a specific group. When I get one, I get 4 because they got all my email addresses, and it seems like I get one twice a day. That is so annoying. It gets to the point where you end up just blocking them. You don't want your client blocking you or your future client blocking you because you're being annoying. So there is a difference between marketing, in my opinion, and being annoying, right? So I find once a month, you're not annoying. Find just different ways to do it. Don't do the same thing every time, in my personal opinion. So I'm gonna put that down. Gotta run. Billboards, expense-wise, it varies. I really shop the billboard around, Viola. Funny enough, you would think that digital billboards where like they play a different billboard every 15 seconds or whatever would be cheaper. They're actually twice as much. And it's not stagnant. So they're pretty, that you can much more easier to see at night, but I only get like so many seconds an hour. I don't want that. I want the whole thing. I want to get every passerby, not every 10th car. And they're more expensive. So I don't buy the digital, I buy the stagnant. Also, depending on what your clientele is, I know you have a mix, but for those of you that are truly working on Medicare, if you buy billboards that are not lighted, that you can only see during the daytime, they're always way cheaper. And your Medicare client, let's be honest, for the most part, is not driving around at midnight. They're in bed. They're more apt to see that billboard in the middle of the day than they are at night. So you're not missing out on many opportunities in the middle of the night because it's not lighted, in my opinion. And I can get a billboard around here that's not lighted for about $600 a month, which isn't bad. My most expensive billboard's $900. I generally won't go over 8. There is this one billboard, it was a really key location. I really liked it, so I wanted it. But for the most part, I won't spend over $800 on a billboard. But depending on your market, they might be a lot more expensive. So if you're in Dallas or Houston or something, those billboards are going to be really expensive. But Regina, this goes back to your point. Don't buy the billboard in Dallas, buy the billboard in Sherman, right? Because you want to get into those smaller niche markets. We'll start advertising those smaller niche markets. It's also cheaper to advertise there. So that's part of, when you talk about trying to find a honey hole. Honey holes are usually in underserved areas, which are also cheaper to be in because they're underserved. So keep that in mind when you're shopping that kind of stuff. This is all good stuff. We got a few more squares. Anybody else got any other ideas? Now, I will say this about the squares. If Tom gets 15 new agents, even though all y'all are trying to do that too, he's the only one we got to get to 15 new agents to be able to cross that square off because it was his idea. So if your idea comes to fruition, we get to cross the square off. But hopefully while we do that, it works for everybody. The ones that don't have a name from them in my ideas that I'm putting on the board for you, everybody has to do it to get the square.
Hopefully I have 8 taking the insurance class on Monday, so.
Well, when I do contracting on those 8 for you, then I'll mark 8 off the list.
I know it, but.
What else? Regina, I know you always got lots of ideas. Kate does too. Jenny, you're kind of quiet. You've been with us for a minute. You should have some good ideas.
I am fading, Rebecca.
Oh, I got one. You guys are gonna like this. So this is a cannonball idea. You just, with that monthly self-care day. So I know some of us are better at this than others. So I'm going to make it a challenge that whatever it is that gives you self-care. Women, it's easy. We like spa days. Some of us may like to hike or fish. Tom wants to go play cards. Whatever that is for you. You're going to take a monthly self-care day. You're going to take at least one day a month, and remember you are a human too, and you deserve to let it go and just get to do what you want to do, even if it's just napping on the couch all day. That's one of my personal favorites. And take a day for yourself every month, minimum. Okay. The other challenge I'm going to do, I'm going to add on here, is because this is something I'm going to do, and I think it would be good for you. It's a book a month challenge. So I'm going to read a book a month, and I challenge all of you to do that as well.
Is there
And
still a box, Rebecca?
there is 2 boxes left. So I'm going to do a book a month. If you would like to read the same book I'm reading, we could even start a kind of a book club, a Cannonball Nation book club. And that would be kind of fun. But if you don't want to read what we're reading, I just challenge you to read a book a month. Oh, Regina, you had an idea?
Yes. One of the other things that I want to do, which may help in recruiting sometimes eventually, or getting clients or referrals, is not, I have really had success in networking, going to networking things like I didn't have to be part of, like networking over breakfast in the Flower Mound Senior Center, the networking at the Thrive, the like finding how to find the networking events to go to that would benefit us as agents, because we don't need to go to some contractors networking events like construction workers, like
Why
and
not?
well, I mean, we could, but I'm probably gonna be, since I'm single, looking for dates instead of trying to sell insurance. But how to also create, even if it's like your agency or Cannonball or whatever, our own networking event that
How
we
to
can,
create events. Okay, I like that one.
yeah, like whether it's business after dark or whatever you call it, like our own networking event. And we could also invite other agents and sales managers or whoever you want to invite just to come network and do your networking thing. Like, and then hosting the networking thing yourself.
Right, I
Because
get it.
yeah, okay.
How to, you're just creating your own event, like what it takes,
Yeah.
the things you should be putting together to not only create the event, but how to get people there.
Yeah, how to get people there, how to create it, and to include people, not just, since this could help us with referrals and agents and recruiting, how to get those people as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Viola, building out a business plan.
Yeah.
So I did like 6 months of building your business last year. So I know you were on some of those. You want more of that, or what exactly are you meaning?
And I can pipe in here too, but wait, oh, I didn't know if is that Viola talking, but I was kind of on the same, I had thought of it earlier and didn't know if it was kind of included in what I said as far as systems, but similar to that, it's like I know you did the business, but it was, and you had Emily Trevino or somebody do that, but it's really hard to get that implemented without going to a lawyer. So maybe more information you can get before the lawyer, and all the tax stuff. That's kind of a gray area for me. What else can we be doing to save money on taxes? So Viola, sorry to interrupt you there, but go ahead and, because I kind of think that overlaps.
Yeah, no worries. So what I'm working on now is building out, like everything I do, I'm documenting it. That way, if I hire somebody, I can have it already in place. So just how are you setting up everything for a new person? Like kind of, cause I know you have really good, operating procedures, like you have, different, like employee manuals, you have a bunch of things like that. So like maybe the setup of all the things that we would need to build that out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that is very much what we did all last year, but I think what you're wanting is a central location just to have it like in bullet points of what you need.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem creating that, but I don't think that's something for the bingo goal. I mean, I can create that. I mean, I probably have something like that already. Probably just need to refresh it. So if that's something you're looking for, I can definitely put that together. That kind of goes in, yes, Jenny, in a little bit of your systems and processes. We could just put in a process of that where like step 1, do this, step 2, do that, and just like a functional bullet point where you can go through and put a checkbox next to that you've done it, right? And then if you get all the way through it, then you know you are legally properly set up. And that's not a problem, but I'm not sure that's a whole bingo board. Now, if we wanted to do something that is a bingo board, by a show of hand or comments, who here has their will for estate actually set up? So if something happened for you today that you know where your stuff's going. Am I really the only one? Well, that's our bingo box. Because every single one of you should have this part done, even before. Is this something that should be done sooner rather than later? Even if it's just a simple will for right now. You need to have something put in place, some basic stuff. You can add to it and build from it with the business step guide. But while we're in, this first part of the year, to some degree, it's the slowest part of the year. Once you kind of get past this first month, you need to do this, whether it's a trust or a will or something, you need to get it in place. I highly recommend, and I'm going to make that our final bingo box because it is so important. We did do a call with Emily about this too. And she's so right. And, me and Emily have had long conversations about this topic, and I think it's super important. So I'm going to make that a bingo goal for you, since I'm actually kind of surprised how many of you don't have it done. So we're just going to put setting up your estate. I think it's super important for all of you. I don't care how old you are. You need to have something in place. And then that kind of swings back to Viola and Jenny on that other topic about the order of that. So putting it on the board like that, setting up your estate. So the goal, the action step is for you guys to do that. Inside that action step, I will help you figure that out, which will help, with these processes. Okay, fair? Yes, like that? No, don't?
Yeah, I do. And like succession planning, like how do we do that?
Yeah, that's all part of the setting up the estate. That's all part of the setting up the estate.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Rebecca, because I listened to it and it's so much and it's overwhelming because it's so
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, and to talk to a lawyer, I did. I went to talk to a lawyer. Well, and you said it is pricey, but I didn't know what to ask for. And I actually went to 2 lawyers, and she didn't know she was a business lawyer, and she didn't know what to do, how to handle the insurance part. So I hit a wall, and then, and then business gets busy, life happens. And, next thing you know, here we are again. So I have the personal trust and have the business in the trust, but not actually what, happens to the business. So yeah, it's a hard one.
Karen, you actually have a trust form, but not signed. Do you have your hands on the paperwork? Or can you get your hands on the paperwork?
It's It's on the desk in there. Mark and I are going back and forth on it, but it's just a matter. I do need to add the stuff with the insurance stuff to it, but it's like, we've got it all printed out.
So here's the thing. I mean, with where you're at in the process, if you wanted to find a day where you can get him to my office, or if a day that I'm actually in the city, we could sit down and if you come to the office, I have a notary in the office, right? So she can notarize it.
Our CPA is a notary, and they've told me I could bring mine in and they'd notarize mine.
Right, I get that. But again, because of what you're saying about him, he's wanting somebody else to put it in layman's terms that is not somebody who ultimately is recouping money from the deal. I get this brain. I do. And I potentially could be this person because I understand what I'm reading and I could regurgitate it in a human brain and not any kind of legal brain. And then ultimately I have a CPA, or not a CPA, but I have a notary that could notarize it for you too on the spot. And then you could take it back to your CPA if you're interested. If you're not, I get it, it's personal, but I'm more than willing to try to, help your husband through this to be able to get it done for you because it's important. The other thing on the CPA thing, I actually, and what you're talking about, Jenny, I have found what I think is a really good CPA. I've looked a long time. I've test drove some of them, and I mean an actual CPA, not my tax lady. My tax lady is different, but a true CPA that's helping us reposition a lot of our stuff in 2025 and helping to shield us from tax consequences in the future, how to help my employees that with more benefits that ultimately shield me from tax consequences as well, and completely restructuring my financial portfolio. I met him, believe it or not, at Roy's annuity conference, and he was looking for a Medicare partner. And another lady brought me over and introduced him because he talked to her, I guess, the night before, and she wasn't in his state. So she brought me over, and oh my gosh, we hit it off like you can't believe. We talked for 6 hours that night at the bar. Neither one of us drinking, just sitting there talking business, talking how to grow their company with Medicare, him talking to me how to reposition my portfolio. We were so busy, and this was right before open enrollment, guys. We were so busy, and he understood it. He's down in San Antonio. He drove all the way up to San Antonio to sit with me in my office in the middle of open enrollment because there's no way I could get to him and my husband, and sat with me half the day, went through stuff, and then went home and has been working on my stuff since. I so far think he's absolutely fantastic, and he absolutely would get on a call with us. I guarantee it, if that is of value to you, to talk some things, and then ultimately if you enjoy him or like him, I'm sure you could hire him because he's pretty much national from what I can tell. I've dealt with some of his clients already as helping them with their insurance across the country. So I don't think it matters where you're living. He can probably help you. And he understands our business. This is one of the key factors that I really liked about him. Not only does he seem like a genuinely good person, but he also understands our insurance business because they're trying to build that out in their own office as another line of business. So if you guys would find value in him, I can get with him and set up one of these Thursday calls for him to come on and, he go through some of this tax stuff with you all. And for those of you who have employees or downlines, and ultimately maybe how to position that stuff too. Does that sound something like you would want? He also understands the trust stuff too. In fact, my lawyers, I had draw it up when he was re-going through our stuff. I sent my trust paperwork home with him because we keep adding stuff. And he can actually, he understands all the trust stuff too. And he's giving me things to think about also with my trust to add in or fix in his mind.
I have an idea. What about like the steps to take to be able to get a loan on your business, like to get business credit?
Pretty sure we did a training on that. Let me find it for you and I'll tell you which one to go watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I did something like that last year. I know I did. Because I did a bunch of creative financing, as I called it, I think on the training
Yeah,
when
you
I
did.
first started. Yeah, so
remember.
I'll get you I'll have to remember what the name or when it was, and I'll give you the course name and you can go watch it. I think you'll enjoy that one, Viola.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we even did, because you're a WIN member, I think we even did one like that in WIN too. So 2 different versions of it. I think Emily might have did something similar in WIN. And then I did ours because of what I did to structure my business originally to get money to get it going. So there's a couple of resources out there that I think you would find a lot of value in. So let me just track down the names of those trainings.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, our bingo board is full. It's a little chaotic. So I will take the weekend and get it where it's not so chaotic and get things understandable on it. And then once I get all that done, I will send it to everybody on this call. So if you're on this call, your name is on the bingo card. And you all, I will come up with some ideas too, as far as what the prizes are. So when I send this out to you, I'll also send you the list of prizes that will be up for grabs as we go through our year in bingo. So this is one of those situations that it's going to pay to actually be on the call live because you're the only ones that are going to get to partake in the bingo contest. I hope everybody in the team gets value out of it, but you guys specifically get to enjoy the benefits of it as we mark these off our list in 2025. Are there any other questions for you guys? I know this today ran long, but I think we had a lot of good conversations and a lot of crosstalk and probably even found figured out some pain points, which is great. It's always good, sometimes hard to hear, but always good to know so we know how to fix them moving forward. But so it ran a little long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But any last thoughts or comments or questions?
Yeah, Rebecca, this is Pam. Do you have another separate link you've created for the revised school? You're revising that. Did you create a separate link?
There is a post in Cannibal Nation that you can click on to get into school, and then there was a email that went out that you can click on and get in school as well. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I don't remember seeing that, but if you sent it, I will look for it.
I sent the link, I think, on Monday, the email on Monday, and I think I posted it in Cannibal Nation yesterday or this morning, too. If you can't find it, just shoot me a message and I'll resend it to you.
Okay,
or tag you on it.
Okay, thank you.
Pam, did you, I know you talked and we talked. Did I put your name?
No, I'm not on there.
Well, we're going to put you, I know you're on this call and I know you chatted and there was a few things you did. So I'm going to put you on. I'm going to just put you on the 12 touch points one. Well, no, I'm not going to do that big. Well, actually, yes, I am. Pam. So you have to give us 12 touch points to cross that off, which I think you absolutely can do and will do. But it's for all of us to do as well. But I'm going to put you on that one. That way I make sure I got your name on the board. If you're okay with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Did by chance I miss somebody else? Because I know a lot of us talked, but then I ultimately might have missed putting your name. I know this was somebody's ACA workshop follow-up boot camp. That was Allie. I remember that. I may have to go back and take a screenshot of everybody on this call just so I can cross-reference this. So I don't miss anybody. I want to make sure. Don't forget to send me your numbers at your start of the year client numbers so we can track the 50% growth one too. All right, guys, unless you have any other thoughts or questions, I will let you go for the night. Stay warm. We'll see if we're all snowed in the morning. Snowmageddon in Texas. Otherwise, y'all have a great evening and we will talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leave it, Deutsche.